Yo, what is good, YouTube? In today's video, I got y'all the top 5 loadouts you should be using in Battlefield Redsec. If you enjoyed this video, find it helpful, give it a like, and make sure you subscribe so notifications turned on, and let's get into it. All right, so for our first gun here today, I'm going to be giving you a build for the Cord 6P67. This is an incredible AR, really solid, and it's actually pretty earlier level unlock. With the challenge, you guys can be able to get it. It's pretty solid, and honestly, I think you're gonna have an absolute blast using this thing. Mine's currently level 28, so we can see the only downside I'd say to this thing right now is that the bullet velocity is not the absolute craziest, but other than that, this thing is an absolute heater and you should have no issues with it. We'll go into the firing range here real quick just to show you guys. Take a look at that. You can burst fire it, you can tap fire it, do all that sort of stuff, and for whatever reason I think the reloading and the firing range is a little bit bugged. At farther distances, you're going to be able to absolutely dominate. All right, so for our first attachment, I'm going to be using the standard suppressor just because this, fully hides in-world spotting, reduces the range where a soldier is spotted on the mini-map when firing, and of course, it does reduce your hip-fire accuracy a little bit, so it's obviously not the greatest for hip-firing, but, it's going to be really good for those, like, medium to longer range engagements, and you're going to absolutely fry with this. So I'd recommend the suppressor. If you feel like you can't deal with some of the recoil, then maybe throw on, like, a compensated brake. That is going to be absolutely incredible. So I'd recommend the compensated brake or the suppressor. Both are 20-point value attachments, which are very good. You guys should have no issues using that. After that, in the barrel section, I want y'all to use the 415mm prototype barrel. This is a heavy barrel that improves firing accuracy over extended periods, which is exactly what we want when we are playing Redsec. So want that heavy barrel. I wouldn't recommend going for that basic barrel. I know it doesn't necessarily mess with your bullet velocity or anything else like that by having it, but overall, we're trying to make this thing better for range, and this will definitely help you. Otherwise, the Cord can have a little bit of recoil that's not very desirable, so we're trying to make it, as good as it possibly can be. After that, on the underbarrel section, we're gonna go down here and use a 30-point grip. The ribbed stubby slightly reduces recoil and enables a slightly faster transition to aim down sights, which that's all incredible stuff. Like, it has no cons to it, so it doesn't like do something like the 6H64 vertical, which gives you an accuracy while aim down sights penalty, like when you're using and you're moving. So we don't want that, obviously. If you don't happen to have the rib stubby, I'd recommend just going for the alloy vertical, as this is the other attachment that has no downsides besides slightly reducing recoil. Otherwise, I'd recommend going for the rib stubby, as this does basically the same thing, but it gives you a little bit more mobility, so it should help you out, just kind of move around, feel a little bit better even for close range. So I'd say to go for that. That is a great attachment. Down here in the magazine section, I want y'all to go for the 40-round mag as long as you have it unlocked. If you do not happen to have it unlocked, since I know leveling can take a while, go for like the 36-round mag or even the 30-round fast mag. Both of those are going to be acceptable. Just kind of be aware that the 40-round mag will be like your go-to as soon as you do happen to have it unlocked. Standard ammunition, we're not going to go for anything else in here besides an optic, and what we're going to go for is going to be the Baker 3x. This is one of the cleanest optics to use for like aiming down sights at distance. Absolutely love it. I think it is perfect for Battle Royale, perfect for the overall use of this gun. So you guys will have an absolute blast using the Baker 3x, truly. So that right there is going to be basically my full Cord build, and I want you guys to give it a shot. Our next up is going to be a build here for the USG 90. This is the P90 for everybody that is thinking about it. This is actually a lower level gun for me, considering leveling stuff up takes a while, but overall you can see that this gun right here is really nice. The recoil is very minimal. Even with like not that many attachments on it, it's still very lethal out to even like a good distance, and the hip fire is pretty crazy. So let's get y'all the build. First thing in here I want you guys to run is the double port brake. This is just going to be better than basically a lot of the other attachments in here. I know this kind of helps hide your muzzle flash and stuff like that, and it hides in-world spotting when firing. It can help you a little bit. It's out to like 30 meters or something like that. So that's, I guess, cool and all, but overall I'd rather you guys be a little bit more controlled, and this is going to help you with that. I see the flash hider gives you less control, less precision, and precision is one of those statistics where it basically means like you know, bloom and stuff like that, where, you know, your shots aren't going to go where you're aiming 100% of the time just due to bloom and moving around and some of those other physics they have in the game. So I'd recommend for you guys to go for the break on this to make sure your shots are as accurate as possible. And keep in mind, this is only a level 13 gun right now, so like you don't feel like you have to have stuff super leveled up to be able to hop in and be effective. Like it's only 50 out of 100 points, but that's because the P90 or it has some different, you know, attachments to it, which I'll show you in a sec, so you don't have to have a full build for it. Next up though is the 264mm prototype barrel. I'd recommend for you guys just to go for this. I mean, you can see the base barrel does lower your precision, gives you a bit more mobility, but this does help you with improved firing accuracy over extended periods. So it can help you out to those medium-ish ranges, you know, which is really good considering you basically only get like one gun on your loadout. So I'd recommend for you guys to go ahead and run this if you are going to use something like that, just to be a little bit better. Maybe you get a second loadout, something like that. You guys can pick this thing up. After that, we're going to go into the laser section, and I want you guys to run the green laser if you happen to have it unlocked. The 50 MW would be my go-to if I'm going to, as soon as I get it up to a high enough level, if I get up to 18, that's what I'll be running. Until then, feel perfectly okay running the 5 MW. You're really not at a big disadvantage in game not having like tons and tons of attachments. The base guns by themselves are really solid, so these are just little additives to make them a bit better, but it's not like make or break, right? So I like that quite a bit. Down here in the magazine section, that's why like you're not wasting, you know, or like you're needing a lot of points, is because this has a 50 round mag stock. Like that's incredible. So that is one reason this thing is so good, like due to its, you know, rate of fire, magazine size, reloads pretty fast. I mean, I shouldn't say maybe reloads fast, 3 seconds. It's not terrible, but for 50 rounds in a mag, which is very, very high for for a gun in this game, I think that's incredible. Lastly, like I'm not really going to have much here in the ergonomics. I mean, I might be able to throw this on and slightly improve my reload speed, 200 milliseconds. I guess I can throw that on there since I just probably got that unlocked and didn't notice. But that's really about it as far as like, you know, everything else goes. We're just going to throw on like a red dot site of choice, maybe this R-MR site. We could throw on just the OSA site, which I just had on in the firing range. Maybe I think I'm not sure if there's a mini flex in here anywhere. The mini flex down here at level 19. So you can slap that on there too, but I would not really recommend anything out past like a 1x. This is really just kind of like a close quarters gun, and that's really about it. So P90, really fun to use, definitely really good. Next up here is going to be a build for the DRS. This isn't Next up is going to be a build here for the DRS. This is technically an LMG, but it basically functions more or less like an assault rifle. And we'll get in here to the firing range to showcase this to you guys. So keep in mind, this is gonna have a little bit of recoil, but as long as you're able to, you know, pull down on the stick here just a little bit, I mean, honestly, you should be pretty well taken care of. It's gonna be great for overall range. We're just gonna show you guys even at like very, very far distance here. Just use half fired a little bit and you'll be fully taken care of. So for the first attachment, I want to run the compensated brake. What this does is enhance the enhanced brake that minimizes recoil buildup and improves recoil recovery, versus the other option I'd probably recommend is the double port brake, which is the improved brake that reduces recoil. Soldiers firing will be spotted. So basically what this does is it just improves the overall recoil, but with the extra 10 points, it basically minimizes your recoil buildup, thus making it not jump around as much. That's why it technically is more points, and it doesn't give you a statistical value over here like in difference. He just does a little something different in the firing range, so you just kind of have to check that out for yourself as long as you have that unlocked. You can always run like a standard suppressor if you want to, but I will say that this is probably going to be a little bit more beneficial to run unsuppressed, given the fact that it does have some recoil. After that, barrel section, I would say the best barrel in here is probably going to be the heavy extended. If you don't happen to have that heavy extended, the regular extended barrel is great, because it still does give you your 900 meter per second bullet velocity, stuff like that. If you go to the heavy barrel, that gets you down to 720, you get a little bit more mobility, but overall, this is pretty solid right here. You just gain a little bit more precision, lose a little bit mobility. So overall, kind of choose, like, you know, I guess I should say, pick your poison on what you want to run. Both of them are going to be fine options, but I'd say that, you know, the heavy extended should be technically a little bit better to run. After that, underbarrel section, the 6H64 vertical is going to be probably your best bet. Normally speaking, I'm a little bit more of a fan of going for like the alloy, as it doesn't have any other downsides, but with this gun in particular, I want more recoil control, you know, capabilities, just so I can hit more of my shots, because it hits really hard, but it just obviously jumps. So you're You're definitely gonna want to be able to have this on there if you happen to have that as an option. Keep in mind, this is only level 20, so it's not like it is a super high level gun. Down here in the magazine section, recommend going for the 40 round mag. If you don't have that, 30 round fast is still fine. 36 round mag is still fine. I just would recommend going for the 40 round mag. Other than that, getting down here, these are going to get a little too pricey in point wise, and you're not going to be able to build out the rest of your gun properly. So I'd say to stay away from those. Lastly, we're going to go up in here to the scope section and throw on that beautiful Baker 3 times. As you guys know that this is just absolutely awesome, and I'd recommend going for that. You can technically get away with throwing on like a mini flex and being more aggressive, and then you'd be able to change out your build a little bit to be more mobile. But overall, I'd say that this is going to be much more suited for that medium to longer distance and tap firing at that longer distance. So this right here, great build, and I want you guys to try this out. All right, so next up is going to be a build here for the PW5A3. This is a really, really solid SMG. We'll get in here to the firing range just to show you this. But overall, I mean, you take a look at this thing. Iron sights are super clean. It has basically no recoil. Like, you can literally down people so quick. First attachment in here is actually going to be the CQB suppressor because it fully hides in-world spotting and reduces the range where a soldier is spotted on the mini-map. Keep in mind, if you have other attachments, and this is a high-level gun for you, mine's level 18, you can run some different stuff. Like if you want to save 10 points, you can run the regular suppressor. Keep in mind, you just will lose a little bit of hipfire accuracy, but overall, you're running this more or less for just close quarters exclusively. So I'd say that the CQB does work out very, very nicely. Add to that barrel section, I want you guys to use the 245mm custom barrel, aka the extended. It just increases it's just a barrel that increases projectile velocity and enables a faster transition to aim down sights, which is really, really solid. Like, everybody wants that. Just makes this thing overall significantly better for close range. And you can see that your rate of fire is really awesome, and your bullet velocity is 540, which is obviously not the greatest, but it is an SMG. It's for close to maybe medium-ish range, and that's really about it. Of course, ARs are better for that distance. Down in here in the underbarrel section, I'd suggest to go for the alloy vertical, considering I know not a lot of people are gonna have this thing leveled up for like the rib stubby or something like that, which is like 26. Maybe you have, maybe you have not. It just takes a while to level guns up in this game. So definitely go for the alloy vertical here. No reason to spend extra points on something like a 6.46H or a 6H64, my bad. It just doesn't really matter. Just go for this. It's got virtually no recoil anyway, so we're just going to stabilize it out using the least amount of points possible. We also just don't want this one here because this decreases our aim down sight speed while we're moving, or ADS accuracy, my bad, while moving. So we'd rather have that. Magazine section. 30 round fast mag is going to work in our favor. The only reason I'm not using the 40 is because that is a level 28 unlock, which for a lot of people is going to take a long time to be able to do. So we're just going to go for that. Don't feel bad if you don't have the fast mag. Just go for the regular 30 round. Don't go for the 20. That's not beneficial. Go for the fast or the regular 30. That's it. And if you have the 40, then you can go for that and adjust some of your other attachments according, like maybe running the regular suppressor instead of the CQB suppressor. After that, I just had a couple extra points left over, so I used the improved mag catch to just help my overall reload speed, getting it to about 2 seconds, which is pretty solid. And then I went up in here to the laser section, and I'm running the 5 MW green laser, which if I level this thing up more, I will be going to the 50 MW green, and I will adjust my setup as I unlock some more stuff, because 10 to 20 points, that's going to make a difference in my build, put me over capacity. So we're just going to go ahead and use this for right now. And of course, we have the basic iron sights, which only cost us 5 points. So that is pretty dang awesome. So that right there is my full MP5 or PW5A3 build. Last but certainly not least here in today's top 5 is going to be a build for the SOR 556. This is an incredible AR. One of the lowest recoil guns in the entire game, to be honest with you guys. We're just going to go straight here for that close range, go down to that like medium-ish range, and then I mean, look at, if you tap fire at it, you can go full auto, it's still going to hit. So first attachment in here, I like to run the standard suppressor on this thing. If you don't happen to have that unlocked, go for like a break and you'll be, you know, taken care of in that regard. I just think the suppressor is going to be quite nice to run in Battle Royale. You would not believe, even though you still sometimes show up on the radar, how nice it is for people to not hear your gun being absolutely absurdly loud. It does make a very, very large difference. And if you play multiplayer, you will know that. So after that, we're going to go in here, we're going to run the extended barrel. Just because this increases our overall, you know, projectile velocity, helps our transition to aim down sights, also gets you to 1,000 meters a second in bullet velocity, which is basically the fastest, you know, bullet velocity I've shown you guys in this video. So I'd recommend for you guys to be able to have that. It's a pretty early level unlock as well, which is nice. After that, also another early unlock is the alloy vertical. Down here, I think some people like to go for maybe like the rib stubby, since it does relatively the same thing, but it gives you more mobility. Overall, I'd say that I'm not really vibing going for that, just because it's 20 versus 30 points, and I'm already basically, I'd be at like over capacity if I tried to go down there and run that. But this right here is going to be like doing some serious work. Down into the magazine section, I like running the 40 round mag on this thing. It is worth the 25 points. If you don't have that, of course, 36 round is fine, or even the regular 30. Don't feel like you're just losing out on something if you don't happen to have it. It is still fine to run a smaller magazine, size on this thing. Lastly, I want to go up in here, of course, and run a scope, and that's going to be that Baker 3 times, but just about any scope you put on this thing is going to work out great. It could be like a holographic, this is largely what I call a holographic sight. You could throw on like a red dot sight for all I care. Not really a fan of the iron sights, don't really recommend that, but mini flex, the SU-231, there's other ones in here like a 1.7 times. This is going to be good as well, but the Baker will be the best generally speaking. So that's my full build. That's my top 5 guns to recommend for you guys to use here in Redsec. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe, check out this other video on screen. I'll see y'all next time.